All right, guys, so we got to talk about some bombshell news revolving Kari Lake's election lawsuit in Arizona and her attempt to overturn the results of the election where Katie Hobbs was certified as the victor by the state. Now, last time we talked about this, Kari Lake had a small W as she was granted access to inspect a random sample of ballots to help plead her case in regards to some potential improprieties that was going on in Maricopa County on election day. Now, Kari Lake has picked up another W, and this W is pretty big because unlike a lot of these cases that we're seeing, her case is actually now going to trial as a judge has dismissed Katie Hobbs' attempt to dismiss Kari Lake's case, which means that, again, this is going to trial. Kari Lake is actually going to have a chance to prove whether or not her claims are true. And again, that in and of itself is a lot different, right, than what we've seen before with a lot of these election cases, because in the past, a lot of people weren't even allowed to prove their case, right? However, Kari Lake has been allowed to prove it, and I want to talk about it. But first, I want to play this news clip so that you guys can get a better understanding of the backdrop and what's going on here, and then we're going to talk specifically about this thing going to trial. So without further ado, roll the clip.
Tonight, a Superior Court judge is deciding whether to hold a hearing on Kari Lake's request to overturn the 2022 governor's race, the election results, by either having a revote, declaring her the winner, or, as political reporter Mark Phillips tells us, the judge throwing her case out of court altogether.
Kari Lake made it pretty clear right after the election she has little regard for Maricopa County elections officials.
I think they're not very good at what they do. I think they are in no hurry to get the election day vote count out. And I think that they need to be replaced and voted out of office as soon as possible.
But did they, working with the Secretary of State and others, make sure Lake lost?
It's about a system-wide, a systemic failure of the tabulators, which are critical to processing people's votes and taking their ballots.
During a hearing to dismiss her case, Lake's attorney, Kurt Olson, argued there was a coordinated effort among ballot signature reviewers, Runback, an election services company, and Maricopa County voting machine technicians to rig the election against Kari Lake.
This case is also about a secret censorship operation set up by the government that would make Orwell blush.
Olson says he can prove it all if the judge allows him to proceed with the case. But attorneys for the Secretary of State and county said unless Lake can prove fraud, her attorney said there was none, or unless she can show enough votes were taken from her, she lost by 17,000 votes. Lake's got no case.
According to Ms. Lake, she need not plead fraud or meet its heightened pleading standard, but need only pleads, quote, intentional conduct to set in motion the machinery of this court. But that is simply wrong.
If the judge denies the motion to dismiss, lawyers will go back to court this week for a 2-day evidentiary hearing. Mark Phillips, ABC 15, Arizona.
Mark, thank you. If there is a hearing, Lake's attorneys will be able to inspect 50 ballot-on-demand printed ballots from Election Day that were marked spoiled and 50 early voting ballots from 6 separate batches of ballots.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay, I hope you guys get at least somewhat of an understanding of the claims that Kari Lake is trying to prove and what the opposition, the Democrat Katie Hobbs, is saying. But as of right now, it looks like Kari Lake is going to actually have a chance to prove her claims, okay, to see if they're true, as the judge has ordered a 2-day trial in Kari Lake's lawsuit, but dismisses some claims. So this is a W overall, right, compared to where most of these cases go. But it's a W. However, I mean, there's a few L's in here as well, too. However, again, there's some W's that we got to talk about here. So let's read about it. A judge declined Monday to dismiss Kari Lake's election challenges after oral arguments by attorneys giving her a chance to try to prove her claims of misconduct by election officials. Maricopa County Superior Court Judge Peter Thompson tossed 8 of the claims in Lake's lawsuit, but allowed 2 to remain that allege an intentional plot by officials to manipulate the election in favor of Lake's Democratic opponent, Secretary of State Katie Hobbs. In 2 separate orders, he ruled that a 2-day trial will take place before January 2nd and that Hobbs and County Recorder Stephen Richer would be required to testify as Lake wished. Yeah, so Katie Hobbs is going to have to testify, right? The Secretary of State that overlooked and certified her own election, yeah, she's going to have to answer some questions, right? You know, the thing that she did not want to do while she campaigned, okay? She didn't want to answer any questions. Yeah, she's going to have to do that during this trial, okay? I'm pretty sure she's terrified, right? She must be shaking in her pants at the idea of actually having to answer some questions. Okay, somebody check in on Katie Hobbs, please. Right? I hope she doesn't have to take a trip to the emergency room, right? Because she has to actually answer questions, okay? Be held accountable. I'm just saying, somebody check in on her. Make sure she's still doing good. Now, Hobbs tried not to, right? She tried not to testify. However, that was rejected. Lake has alleged intentional misconduct sufficient to affect the outcome of the election and thus has stated an issue of fact that requires going beyond the pleadings. The ruling stated it continued that Lake must show at trial that the county's printer malfunctions were intentionally rigged to affect the election results and that the actions did actually affect the outcome. Thompson didn't immediately set the time for the trial, but ordered the attorneys for Lake and defendants, including Hobbs and county officials, to submit a list with the anticipated time required for the proceedings no later than 12 p.m. December 20th. Last week, he agreed to allow Lake's legal team to inspect a small number of printed and early ballots from the elections, including 50 that were marked spoiled on election day. That inspection was scheduled to begin December 20th. Lawyers for Governor-elect Katie Hobbs and Maricopa County officials told a judge earlier Monday that Lake's lawsuit is full of unproven speculation that isn't allowed for election challenges under state law. The lawyers who appeared before Thompson alongside attorneys for Lake gave a forceful rebuttal of claims by the unsuccessful governor candidate, saying her lawsuit fails to meet legal standards for an election complaint and contains baseless claims of fraud. The Trump-endorsed Republican is contesting election results that show she lost to the Democratic competitor and Secretary of State Hobbs by more than 17,000 votes. Her 70-page lawsuit filed December 19th and Maricopa County Superior Court contends that, quote, hundreds of thousands of illegal ballots infected the November 8th election, relying on so-called expert analysis and witness declarations. Lake hopes the court will declare her the rightful winner of the November 8th election or order a new election. Yeah, so you guys get the gist of what's going on here, right? This is going to trial, and we will see, right? We're going to see what happens here. All I'm saying is this. I am just relieved that it's actually being allowed to go to trial, right? Because Kari Lake is saying these things, and she's getting the opportunity to actually prove it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with her getting the opportunity to prove it. If it's clean, then that will be proved in court. And again, it's just going to be whatever, right? Kari Lake will have to take the L. It is what it is. But if she can prove her claims, is that not supposed to be good for democracy? Right? That's supposed to be good for democracy, right? If she can actually prove her claims, right? Which she's been allowed to do. So either way, again, I'm just relieved that it's being allowed to go to court. But we will see what happens and go from there. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.